did a lot for everybody, man. Banks, Lamborghinis. I'm over Banks had a Lamborghini. That shit in the snow, man. Even put it in the garage. In the snow, man.
You know, all that because it was still my start. So I was just going to the stars, building, the company building, meeting with the execs, and it might be one or two execs in there, and they just watching me see if I'm good enough.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Back against the wall and just slide.
The big problem between Lil Meech and Rick Ross has totally blown up. Things are worse now than they have ever been before. It all happened during what was supposed to be a normal business meeting. But instead of talking calmly, things got very heated very fast. It turned into a huge argument where they were both yelling and saying how they really feel. This fight showed everyone all the bad feelings that have been building up between them. People who were there say that Lil Meech got very angry. He looked directly at Rick Ross and shouted at him. He yelled, "You ruined my life and everything my father worked so hard to build." This was a very serious thing to say, and it shocked a lot of people in the music industry. The fight wasn't just about being angry over money. It was about something much bigger. It was about the legacy, or the memory, of Lil Meech's father. It was about power, and most of all, it was about feeling betrayed by someone he thought he could trust. So what caused all of this? The story everyone is hearing is that it goes back to a huge business deal involving the BMF brand. The deal was worth $120 million. People who know what happened say that Rick Ross set up this entire deal in a sneaky way, and he did it all behind Lil Meech's back. These insiders explain that Ross was not being honest. They say he messed around with the official contracts and changed the financial numbers to his own advantage. In the end, his actions supposedly cut Lil Meech out of receiving important money from the BMF brand. Because of this, both Lil Meech's public reputation and his personal savings were left in really bad shape.
Correct.
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big. I can feel it. I'm just talking.
That was a really harsh thing to do, especially when you stop to think about it. Lil Meech was trying his best to continue his father's work and protect his family's name. So to feel like he was stolen from by someone he thought was on his side makes the situation feel so much worse. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get more difficult for him, they did. The famous rapper 50 Cent got involved. He had actually warned Lil Meech in the past about trusting Rick Ross too much. Now, 50 Cent came out and said, "I told him how this would end." That one simple sentence hurt more than any angry song lyric could. It was a brutal reminder that Lil Meech had ignored a major warning. Now, the entire music world is talking about this drama. Everyone is having big conversations about what it means to be loyal to your friends in the industry. They are also talking about how people can be manipulated and who truly has the power over the BMF brand. For Lil Meech personally, his situation seems completely terrible. The business empire he was helping to run is falling apart. His television show is no longer on the air. Many of the people who used to support him the most have now either become his enemies or have quietly left him to deal with his problems alone. He has gone from being one of the most exciting and popular new stars to watching his entire career fall to pieces right in front of him. And the craziest part of his whole story is that the person who started it all, Rick Ross, might have just pulled off one of the most sneaky and selfish moves that anyone has ever seen in the music business.
You know, he kind of broke the barrier between, you know, the Atlanta, the dirty South country, you know what I'm saying, thing. So you know what, they really got some money down there. They really having fun down there. I want to go to Atlanta.
A lot of fans are now asking one big question. They want to know how a young star like Lil Meech, who had so much money, so much fame, and everyone's attention, could lose it all so quickly. There was a time not long ago when Lil Meech really did have everything. He was the star of the popular television show called BMF. Playing that role made him famous all over the country. He was getting large paychecks for his acting. His popularity was growing every day, and everyone in the entertainment business was treating him like he was the next huge celebrity. But then, the situation completely changed when Rick Ross became involved. That was the moment when everything started to go wrong. Rick Ross is famous for playing mind games and making secret plans behind the scenes. The story is that after Lil Meech's father, Big Meech, was released from prison, Ross made an effort to become very close to him. And it's important to understand that this wasn't about building a real friendship or becoming like family. Instead, Ross's main goal was to annoy and upset his longtime rival, the rapper 50 Cent. He wanted to restart one of the most famous and nasty rivalries in all of modern hip-hop music. Ross knew precisely what he was doing. He was using his connection to the Meech family to create chaos and cause problems for 50 Cent's own business empire. The consequences happened immediately. In a move that shocked everyone, 50 Cent decided to completely end the BMF television series. Just like that, in an instant, Lil Meech lost his most important job. He lost the money he depended on and the famous TV show that had made him a star in the first place. There would be no more multi-million-dollar television deals for him. There would be no more walking the red carpet at big events. Everything he had worked for was gone in a single night.
Kitchen right here, refrigerator, stove. It's the Ferrari right here. Keep the Ferrari for good luck. My Egyptian style furniture, the lion. I like that old school look.
All of Lil Meech's hard work over the years, all the important relationships he built, and all the progress he made in his career just disappeared. It all vanished because Rick Ross decided to use real people's lives as game pieces in his own personal war with 50 Cent. He didn't seem to care about the damage he was causing to other people. Then, instead of calming things down, Ross made the situation even worse. He started bragging about his plans on the internet. He posted something like, "I do want to make a BMF movie because you've all been watching a low-budget TV show. Now it's time for a big, major film." He even mentioned famous movie directors like Gary Gray and Quentin Tarantino, saying he would work with them to make a new BMF story that would be amazing and legendary. But for anyone who was really paying attention to the situation, this wasn't about making a great movie. It was just a clever and sneaky way for Ross to insult 50 Cent and to try to steal the entire BMF story for himself. Ross wasn't trying to honor the true history of BMF. He was trying to change the story and make it his own, just to get more fame and power for himself. To really see how this whole complicated mess started, you have to look back at history. The connection between 50 Cent and Big Meech, who is Lil Meech's father, began a long time ago in the early 2000s. Back then, BMF was much more than just a name. It was a whole cultural movement. Big Meech was in charge of it all, and he was seen as a major kingpin of the culture. He was famous for throwing incredibly wild parties, owning fleets of luxury cars, and living a lifestyle that was full of money and power. His influence was felt everywhere, not just in his own neighborhood. He was literally making hip-hop history with everything he did. And it was right around the same exciting time that 50 Cent was also blowing up and becoming a huge star. He released his iconic first album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', which made him one of the most famous rappers in the world almost overnight.
I don't play with Wham. You know, Virgil on them folks.
Back in the day, the music scene was changing because of 50 Cent. His music told real stories from the streets. At the same time, a famous group called BMF was rising to power in Atlanta. It felt natural when these two powerful forces connected. It wasn't a business deal. It was a real friendship built on respect and big dreams. People who were there, like Tony Yo, say that 50 Cent and BMF's leader, Big Meech, were very close. 50 would even hang out at Big Meech's house. A little Lil Meech would be running around the living room while they talked. Back then, it was all about loyalty and the hustle. Years went by. Lil Meech grew up hearing legendary stories about his father. He felt pressured to live up to that larger-than-life image. But he didn't realize that the world had changed, and the rules were different now. Meanwhile, 50 Cent had also changed. He was no longer just a rapper. He had become a smart businessman, building empires in TV, liquor, and film. He was playing a long game, thinking about the future. Seeing Lil Meech struggling to find his way, 50 decided to help. At a time when no one was giving Lil Meech a real chance, 50 believed in him. He paid for Lil Meech to go to acting school, teaching him how to build his own path instead of just living in his father's shadow. That investment paid off in a huge way when Lil Meech landed the lead role in the BMF TV show. It was his big break, and 50 was right there as his mentor, guiding him through the new world of fame. However, behind the scenes, trouble was brewing. As Lil Meech got more famous, his father, Big Meech, who was in prison, reportedly started to feel uncomfortable with how close his son was to 50. According to some reports, Big Meech was encouraging his son to live the same fast, flashy lifestyle that he had. But 50 was trying to teach Lil Meech the opposite, to be disciplined, to focus on his craft, and to build a career that would last. This was a major clash of values. 50 was looking forward, trying to build a stable future. Big Meech, from his prison cell, was still holding on to the past. Lil Meech was stuck in the middle, torn between his mentor and his father. The situation reached a breaking point when 50 revealed he had to send Lil Meech to rehab for substance abuse issues. For 50, this was the final straw. He had invested his time, money, and belief into Lil Meech, only to see him fall into the same old traps. 50 made the tough decision to pull his support completely. The BMF TV show was canceled, and the money and opportunities for Lil Meech suddenly disappeared. At the same time, Lil Meech's own choices were making things worse. He had started living a very flashy and expensive lifestyle, buying Ferraris and $1,000 designer clothes. He was spending money like a superstar, but he didn't have a superstar steady income. Once the show was canceled, the money stopped, but the expensive habits didn't. It was at this low point that rapper Rick Ross got involved. Ross is a famous and long-running feud with 50 Cent. He saw a perfect opportunity to get back at 50 by siding with Big Meech and getting close to Lil Meech. He used Lil Meech's loyalty to his father to pull him away from 50's guidance. Now, Lil Meech is caught in the middle of an industry war that he didn't start. His main supporter, 50 Cent, is gone. The show that made him a star is over. His connection to Rick Ross and his loyalty to his father's legacy may have cost him the bright future he was building. This whole story is a tough lesson about the importance of good guidance and making smart choices. Lil Meech had a golden opportunity that many people dream of, but a mix of bad influences and poor decisions caused it to fall apart. The big question now is whether he can learn from these mistakes and build a comeback, or if this was the end of his moment in the spotlight. Only time will tell.